Support. Curtis Fleming is there on the edge of the area. Fleming for Craig Hignett. Hit it, Higgy. Higgy hits the treble!
Avenelli coming alive again. Juninho wants the ball played to him. Avenelli spots out. Emerson!
Hello and welcome to the Boro Breakdown podcast with Jonny, Dana and Matt. We are the Boro podcast that gives you all of your Boro matchday chatter in a podcast. And Boro lose to Sunland and are clinging on to the top half of the championship table in 12th place. And guys, as always, our one key takeout from the week to sum up pretty much the performance yesterday. Maybe we want to sum up some of our week as well. Dana, would you like to go first? What was your one key takeout?
That probably. But to add to that, I would say that this iteration of Michael Carrick's Middlesbrough, and I will emphasise iteration there because I do think that it'll change, is not only incredibly predictable but also ineffective. I think you kind of touched on it in the build-up to this game, Jonny, that maybe we are predictable, but that's because we know what Boro are going to do. And I think that other teams obviously know what Boro are going to do because they do their video analysis, they do their preparation. It's part and parcel of football. But there's one thing being predictable, it's another thing being ineffective within that predictability. Michael Carrick's Middlesbrough, when he first came in, I think they were predictable in that we knew that a lot of our attacks would be funneled down that left-hand side, but you just couldn't stop it because they were so effective. So Boro have got two problems there in that, yes, teams know what they're going to do and they stick out to stop it, and they do that because Boro are not playing effectively as a unit. So yeah, incredibly tiresome, I would say, that we're kind of going through the same problems, and I just really hope that it'll change soon and that we have nicer things to talk about instead of cut and paste kind of content.
Well, this is actually a rerun of a podcast we've done a few weeks ago. We just had to edit the
and
words.
last season.
And last season as well. So you're going to switch off if you want now. But Matt, what's your key takeout from the week?
Yeah, exactly the same. I think frustration was the buzzword last week. Predictable is the buzzword this week. But not only that, it's obviously really frustrating when for the second week running, we've had opposition managers come out and openly say, yeah, we know exactly what game we're going to get, and you can't disagree with them. And when you get a Sunderland team at home in front of 42,500 in a game that is, heated, I won't use the D word, but, you'd think maybe they'd be under some form of pressure to have more of the ball or dictate play or really take the game to Boro. But within seconds, as soon as I saw that they were sitting off us, and that Reggie Libris was willing to set his team up to just sit back and allow Boro to have the ball, I thought, wow, that is telling. That is telling. You see that happen at the Riverside, and you expect it to happen at the Riverside. You kind of think, okay, that's fair enough. We saw it under Karanka. You'd expect that. But Carrick said it's a compliment. I don't think it's a compliment. I think it's not quite an insult, but I think it's just a sign of how easy we are to play against. And one word I would use about Carrick's Middlesbrough, which I never thought I would use, as well as predictable and frustrating, I'd say boring. I'd say the second half, especially, I was bored, and I wasn't even really paying much attention to the TV. I wasn't really bothered because I knew no matter where we were in their half, set piece, corner, cross, I had absolutely no confidence we were going to create, shoot, or have any real effort on goal, and I was bored for the first time. So, yeah, not good.
Yeah, and my key takeout, I'll probably go with, maybe it sounds quite philosophical, maybe, but I think it's a time for Carrick to ask more questions than find solutions, I would say. When I looked at the team yesterday, I looked at the 14 players that we used, 7 is still new players that came to the club this season. And with newness, and as when you manage teams as well, like, it does take that adapting time, but what new players can give you is probably give you more clarity if you ask them more questions around what's working on the pitch, what's not working on the pitch. And I don't think it's Michael Carrick's time to solve that. I think it's more of a player's thing to solve it. And what I mean by that is if a trigger's not working, you have the freedom to adjust things based on how you see fit in a game, or you can take more risks and just try and give that empowerment to the players more so than the management. Like in my world and how I manage teams is very much more coach leadership. I try and give someone a question to work towards, or an answer, or a solution, or like an end goal where they get to. And it's on them to get there, or how they want to get there, because everyone's so adaptable, everyone's so new, everyone has their own way of approaching things. And there's no different in football, really. You're managing 25, 30 players plus staff. You're managing a lot of different people. Everyone has their own different ways of working, different approaches, different mindsets, different reaction times. There's so many different variables. But I think right now, I think Carrick needs to sit and probably watch and maybe chat to the players about the solutions, or the way of playing right now that isn't particularly working. Because I think you can learn a lot from your players rather than just going into a different iteration, which might or might not work. When we're looking at like low blocks and stuff, I feel like everyone knows how to manage a low block in like professional football. Like, Jesus Christ, Michael Carrick will have came across it many, many times in his career. These players should be used to it by now. So the fundamentals, and you don't need someone from a podcast to tell you that, but the fundamentals it's all about tempo, it's about movement. Everyone knows how to stretch a team out. It's on a player there. And I think we looked a little bit lost yesterday in terms of predictability. A game which reminds me of yesterday was when Boro played Brighton a couple of seasons ago, and we got beat 5-1, where Brighton stood on the ball, Boro didn't press, and the aim was stop the trigger and just try and keep it compact. Brighton in that game found different ways to solve that problem, where Boro didn't yesterday. And it was very much, this could be a sign of we've given them too much information and we're not giving them enough freedom. So for me, that's more like comes back to my point of Carrick needs to ask more questions now rather than get to a solution. But we'll chat about Sunland then, because Chris Riggs scored the only goal of the game, a back heel from about 1 yard out to an empty net, which everyone was waxing lyrical about. I feel like everyone who even listens to this podcast could have probably done the same thing, but it was a good goal nevertheless. But Dana, what was your overall assessment of the game against Sunderland?
I just thought it was very insipid and tedious and boring, flat, dull, whatever adjective you want to pluck from the air that's applicable to or similar to that. And it could have been so much different, because Tommy Conway should have scored that header. And then it's just a completely different game. So again, Boro lose a match or put themselves in a losing position and ultimately then lose the match, when actually they should have put themselves in front. And I mean, we didn't have anything after that, really. There was last chance in the second half, I think, or was it in the first? Yeah, it was in the first. And it was just the same old stuff that we've seen from Boro. They pass around the 18-yard box with no penetration. There's no real craft or creativity. Team just take the lead. They sit back and they defend, because Boro don't really pose any questions. They pose little to no threat. Teams know that just keep Boro in positions of, not dangerous positions, non-threatening positions, and they won't do anything. They won't hurt you. And Boro did that yesterday. They didn't hurt Sunland. And I did think that Sunland held a threat because they had the two wide players, caused problems in that they were getting direct. They were really toasting Ayling and Borges, I have to say. And they look threatening because of their speed in transition, and I think their decision making as well. So yeah, Boro's just frustrated and bored, to be honest. I completely agree with Matt. There was a point in the second half where I just really wanted the game to end, because I knew that it wasn't going to change. And I said to you in the group chat, it was rather pessimistic and reactionary of me, but as soon as Chris Rigg put Sunderland 1-0 up, I said, we've lost this now, 1,000%, because I've seen that game before. We've all seen that game before. If anyone watched that second half yesterday, or just watched that game yesterday and thought Boro are going to overcome this deficit, then I applaud you, because you've clearly been seeing a different Middlesbrough to me this season. It's not new, this problem. We'll probably see it again, because it's, we're far enough into the season now, and I get it, we're 6 games in, but I feel like 6 games is enough to know that this is a pretty substantial problem. It's not just a quick fix, I don't think. We might get a lucky break in that we come up against a really turd team and then that turns our form around and then we get the confidence from there. But yeah, I feel deflated. I feel like a balloon that's all the air's been let out of it, because we've seen this before, similar frustrations last season. We're seeing it again. And yeah, I wish that I was back on my podcast break and I didn't come back for this one.
Well, you chose to come back, Dana,
I
so
did.
you can sit there and act like a deflated balloon and enjoy it. For you, Matt, speaking of deflated balloons, Matt, I'm probably looking at you just as much. Tommy Conway probably had to score right and also give me some thoughts and feelings and a bit of therapy on how you were feeling yesterday.
Yeah, I'm with Dana completely. I mean, the only positive from my side is I have quite a good long break after this, and I'm really glad because I'm absolutely at my wit's end with this football club right now. I'm exactly the same as Dana. We were both like two real pessimistic somebodies in that chat yesterday. I mean, we were both the same. To be fair, as soon as I woke up yesterday, I had the worst feeling in my gut that it was going to go wrong. And I never really have such a negative feeling going into a game, but I just felt like this was just not going to go well. And that's exactly how it transpired, barring the fact that I actually won a bet. That's how predictable Boro are. I won my first bet in 2 years because I knew exactly what was going to happen. It was only £25, but I'll take it.
Small gains.
Small gains. But yeah, the game itself, you start with Tommy Conway. I mean, yeah, out of all the forwards, I would have expected him to have buried that, but it was typical, wasn't it? The free header in the box, good ball from Jones as well, manages to miss the target and hit the bar. And again, it's the same thing, isn't it? They score from their only opportunity, really, in the first half, and you knew exactly what was going to come from it after that. And on top of them being a pretty, well put together defensive team throughout the season so far, probably made it even tougher for us in that second half. But yeah, it was a really, really boring, dull, as Dana said, insipid second half. We were just horseshoeing it from side to side. We looked bereft of ideas. I almost thought that the players almost looked, I think someone maybe used this word on the tease morning, as Tom would call it. And I actually thought it was a good point. I think someone referred to the team as robots. And I kind of got that. I feel like they are so coached into, playing the perfect pass, trying to carve out the perfect goal. And I was just hoping someone would just do something off instinct yesterday, just whip a ball in, just try and, cause some chaos, put a ball on top of the Sunland defender or the keeper, or, have a dig from range. It could deflect. It could go anywhere. We could win a corner, just anything. But we were just trying the same thing over and over and over again. And it just wasn't clearly working. And it is so heavily coached into the team, I think, to keep doing the same thing. And that has made us, as I say, predictable. And Sunderland, I think, were quite comfortably sat there in a good shape. And I think that's the way to beat Boro. It is the template to beat us. And if you had a Boro bingo card yesterday, you probably got a full house, to be honest with you, because it had all the hallmarks of exactly what we see from Boro and how easy we are to set up against. So, yeah, missed chances, tick. Give away a goal from not much, tick, and then fail to really do anything second half and get back into the game. And there were a few decisions. I think the tackle from Hume should have been a red, in my opinion. Can I say with confidence that Boro would have still got through Sunderland with an extra man? Probably not. Don't think it would have probably made a difference. No. And then they could have had a penalty really at the end of the first half too. So yeah, more of the same and really frustrating. But the second half was really sort of deflating and demoralising, I think, to see us sort of not have a shot on target. It's one goal from open play all season from a Boro player, which is, it's damning, really.
You know what? I thought, given, Sunderland's style of play, that they would push on Boro a lot more. And we saw within the first, 15 seconds, George Edmondson puts his foot on top of the ball and tries to bait that press, and they just sit off. So it filters into what you were saying there, Matt, about the blueprint of how to negate Boro's strengths and to combat what they can offer as a football team. And we saw it play out within the first 15 seconds of the game. My dad was like, what are they doing? And I was like, well, they're trying to invite the press, but it's just it's not happening. So it was literally the football match was at a standstill. And we were just so slow, and we never, you know what I thought, and you mentioned it there, Matt, about the kind of creativity and lacking a spark. I actually thought that Ben Doak would offer us that when he came on. I think that was the right substitution from Carrick. And momentarily, like within the first minute of him coming on, he gets down that right hand side and he looks dangerous. Like he puts a ball into the box. I think it was that attack where he just moves and then it connects the play and pass on the inside. He connects with it and he gets the ball into the box. And I'm thinking, right, that's exactly what we want to see. Somebody just kind of take the game by the scruff of the neck and think, you know what, a little bit of individualism, I think, moving away from potentially what they've been drilled into, because we are wedded to a style of play. And I'll get onto this later because I've got another point on it. But then that was it, really. It didn't continue after that, and Boro reverted back to their usual pass happy, doing fuck all with it. Sorry, I swore. Someone with multiple numbers in their name on Twitter is going to get really annoyed at me. But we're wedded to a style, and this is a point I was thinking, and I've been thinking, we're wedded to a style with and without our best starting 11. But for me, the key to this style is a player that was on the bench yesterday, and it's Riley McGree. If Riley McGree is not in that team, I think I would like to see just a little bit of a shift on that left-hand side, maybe a little bit more width over there, a little bit more of a direct, old-school kind of winger, because no one can play that role like Riley McGree does. So yeah, we are very, very wedded to that style of play, which is like fine. Michael Carrick has his system, has his principles. But yeah, the key to that, the player that I think makes it work or makes it tick and makes it that percentage better is Riley McGree. So if he's not in the team, I think we should just adapt just ever so slightly.
Yeah, I'm absolutely in agreement. I was thinking that yesterday. I sort of looked at our team and I thought, if we've not got Riley McGree, don't play with that inside forward, because I don't like Hamilton there. I don't think Bergsorg's going to do anything against a low block. I think he's a better player in sort of transition on the counter. And I don't know if Carrick's trying to force the current crop of players we have into the style that was successful previously with Giles, because it's like he's trying to play with a left back that, you know, can have the space down the left and attack. Borges is not Ryan Giles. None of the other players on the left are Riley McGree. So I'm exactly the same as you. I feel like down that left-hand side, when you're bringing a player in, Borges was just so exposed yesterday. I mean, he didn't help himself. He continually showed Roberts inside, and I was screaming at my television thinking, how was this not drilled into you pre-match to show him on his right? And how was it not rectified mid-match? He kept doing it. And there was a moment in the second half where he just waltzed past him. He didn't even put a challenge in it, and Roberts bent a ball which wasn't too far wide. So I think it's exposing our left back continually. Preston had joy, limited joy, but still joy down our left-hand side last week. I just don't think we've got the personnel at left back. I mean, Engels struggled. Borges is struggling. I don't think it's a personnel issue as much as them individual. I think the system isn't helping them. But then going forward as well, if it's not McGree, I don't think it's working with anyone else. I'd rather, if McGree's not in the team, us play with two out-and-out wingers who will stick to they'll have chalk on the boots and they'll stay as wide as possible to try and stretch the opposition's defence as much as possible, because we just keep trying to play through, coming inside, trying to play through the middle. And without the width on the right-hand side, we are just bringing the play inside, and yeah, it's not stretching sides at all. So I do feel like maybe he needs to look at the personnel, and if certain players that are really suited to them roles aren't in the team, then yeah, he needs to tweak a few things, I think.
That's really frustrating me, actually. The narrowness of Middlesbrough, and Reggie Lebris said it pre-match, how narrow we play. And I think it's just become a bit of a bugbear of mine in football in general, because I watch so many teams have wingers that just want to come inside all the time. And with Boro, I think our left-hand side is particularly problematic within that. As I said, if Riley McGree's not in the team, because the thing with Riley McGree is he's effective, very effective in that role. And like Finn Azaz has been playing there, I prefer Finn Azaz through the middle if he is going to play. I'm not a fan of Boro's narrow approach on the wings. And I think you said it in the group chat yesterday, Jonny. Well, we need players in the box. To be fair, there was a moment yesterday where Tommy Conway piled down that right-hand side and played a ball in, and it was very Jordan Hugill passes the ball or crosses the ball to absolutely nobody in the box under Tony Pulis, because there was nobody there. And there was like two players in the frame. Like, yeah, there's that problem as well. But I would love to see a little bit more variety, I think, is probably the key opinion there. I just want to see a little bit more variety, which for me would be nice to see just a little bit of width as well on that left-hand side, because I appreciate we can have it on the right.
What else do you think's causing Boro to be so predictable, guys?
I think it is just that our range of attacks is very. It just feels very one-dimensional for me. We roughly know what we're going to do because it's just try to get the ball through the middle. And I get it because Finn Azaz is a player that I think can unlock the door, and he's divisive at the moment. He's, people think that he's crap, including the guy in front of me at the Boro matches, and he makes me very aware that he thinks that he's crap. And there's other people that rate him. But I get why we want to funnel the ball through there, because numerically we have players that can make a difference through those central areas. But when it's crowded out, when teams sit back and they play that low block, that's when I kind of want to see a little bit of variety there. And also it's the pace of our play as well. It's just so slow. And I think that causes us problems. We cause ourselves our own problems because we feed into being incredibly easy to play against. So it's the lack of variety, and it's also the pace, the tempo of the game. You think, okay, just quicken it a little bit. It's fine just recycling the ball, but where's that incision? At some point, somebody's got to take responsibility on that pitch and be like, okay, I know that we've been passing the ball around for the last half an hour and it's fine. We're not in any danger of conceding unless somebody goes and passes back to the goalkeeper like Isaiah Jones did and puts absolutely no weight behind the ball. But somebody has to take responsibility and be like, okay, a little bit of individual play here. I'm going to try and make something happen. I don't really see it from Boro. No real tempo, no real shift in tempo, which I think can cause problems for teams. And it's just a lack of variety in how we actually attack.
Yeah, speed of play is a big one. I think, not too long ago, we actually were putting 30 shots in. I think 30 shots, 29 shots. So not too long ago, the way we were playing was actually creating us quite a lot of chances. I think it is rather alarming that maybe since Cardiff, Preston, although we still have big chances, one or two that we're fluffing, we're not absolutely peppering the opposition's goal as we were previously. So I think that's a sign that we have regressed within the current style of play, and maybe we have been found out to a degree by the opposition. So yeah, I think we need to make the pitch wider, but we definitely need to start playing quicker, because yesterday, it was so slow. It was excruciating to watch.
You said earlier, Matt, on the red cards, and obviously Carrick alluded to it in his press conference as well afterwards. I think it was probably a red when you look at it back. Obviously, in the first instance, you think, oh, an orange, as a pundit would say. But you said earlier that you weren't confident that Boro would break them down anyway, even if they did have 10 men. Why do you think that was? Or why do you think that is?
I just feel like it would have allowed Sunland to just sit even deeper and defend the box even more. And I think we'd have seen the same sort of patterns continue on. I just don't have sometimes it is harder to play against 10 men. I know last season we carved through them and put 4 past them, but they're a very well defensively coached team. I think we saw that yesterday, and they do deserve credit for how they defended second half, because they were very organised and they had a very good shape. But I think it would have probably just gave Boro more time than what we had second half to just have the ball for longer periods, horseshoe, huff and puff, and just probably end up being even more frustrated than what we were. I found Carrick's comments quite interesting, though. I will say about it being too early in the game. I think that was something he maybe did have a point on, because, had that tackle have come second half, the referee may have gave it. I do think he has a point there. Early on in the game, into a big game like that, does the ref want to ruin it by sending a player off? Maybe not, but I do feel like he just has to look at it. And on replay, it was a shocker. He was over the ball. It could have been a lot worse for Latilath, so I think they got lucky with that. But maybe it's just me being very pessimistic regarding Boro at the minute, but I would have had no faith that we would have found a breakthrough.
Just one final thing as well. I know, Matt, you mentioned it. I was on the post-match analysis as well. Just in terms of what Carrick was saying after the game, and then I know you've vented a lot of frustrations, but it might add to this.
Been a bit of a gobshite, to be fair.
It might add to this, to be fair, but Carrick said that he thought Boro were the better team. With everything that you've just mentioned, do you agree or disagree with what he was saying?
No, I disagree with that because for me, I received that comment in a way where it indicates or suggests that Boro should have got more from the game, or maybe should have even won the game. And I don't think that we deserved anything from it, and we got exactly what we deserved. I will say that I think both sides weren't great, but Boro were not the better side. I think Sunland held more of a threat despite having less of the ball. And this is the thing, you can have all the ball in the world, but if you don't do anything with it, that doesn't mean that you're the better team. So I'd like to know how Carrick thinks we were the better team. I don't know what he said after that, what his kind of deeper thought was on that. But no, I don't agree with that whatsoever. I don't see that performance being one where you come out and say that we were the better side, because I just thought that we were poor, and I think it was rather pathetic, to be honest. That performance, it just felt flat and pretty dull. So I'm going to have a look at what he said afterwards, because I would be interested in knowing what he said, just as a kind of deeper thought. But on a base level, that statement I don't agree with. No.
Yeah, I think one final thing for me, and Matt, I'll come just talk to you and just get your thoughts on that as well. But it comes down to two things for me, and from like the themes that you guys have been talking about, is that it comes from a lack of clarity for the players, and then it also like clear communication with Carrick and his team. And you know, when you are managing people, you want to give the right balance of communication, because you don't want players or like your team in general, whether it's business or something, to be overly confused with the amount of data or analysis or different parts of information which might scramble them. And I think that we've either give too much communication on the pitch, or the players don't have enough clarity of what we want to do in certain moments. And football is becoming systematic. We see it all the time. We see it in every single division, which is crazy to me, that everyone wants to play in a certain way. They all want to have a specific style or a trigger or whatever. And it's has become very, very rigid. You had that trend over the international break of Barclaysman. World Barclaysman was all about like those unique moments of brilliance. And although you still can see it, it's very much reduced on now how people expect or reaction based on a specific moment. Where for me, with Carrick or however he's managing that team right now, I think it's more so for him to sit and, like I start this podcast with, it's about the questions he asks now. Are players like understanding what he wants to achieve? And he also needs to get an understanding of whether it's actually working for the players on the pitch. And you can find out and you can learn a lot from the most junior person in a team, because they will and can give you a fantastic answer on the ground of what's working on the ground. How would you improve something or a way of playing or a process? And then if they have no issues, then the people at the top probably won't have an issue either. And I think Carrick needs to probably understand that of his players and see if these new players are betting incorrectly, or the players that are currently playing right now just don't feel that it's not as strong as it could be, because football and how players have played, they all know the game in and out. It's just that finding that effective moments and being confident to play in that moment, or to have the ability to make the mistake and kind of be at ease with it. So I think there's a lot at play really, rather than just the sole aspect of playing with more width or play a bit more tempo. And they will help, and they'll help in an in-game. But I think more so for me, it's more off the pitch, training ground. We need to probably have that conversation rather than just so match days. But everyone will know how Boro play in the divisions. We'll know how every other team plays. And I think it's just on those to find that solution on a match day. But I don't know if you guys have any more thoughts on what Carrick was saying in the presser, or if there's anything else, Matt. I don't know if you had something, and then I don't know if Danny will finish off with you.
Yeah, I just on the back of what Dana said, I do recall Carrick post match, and he seemed a little bit more upset than usual. I think as upset as Carrick can come across, he did seem rather upset by the performance, and he dug out the ref a little bit. He mentioned that we had more shots than Sunland, which we did, but they had more shots on target, and a lot of our efforts were just, you know, half-assed, side-footed, finesse shots from outside the box, trying to get through 28 bodies. It was just, you know, there were pop shots from range that weren't ever really going to challenge. And he made an emphasis on entries into the box. We had more entries into the box. I think that sort of says a lot about how we think. Like, you know, he seems like he's quite obsessed with them numbers. Like, we're getting into the box more, but we're not doing anything when we're getting into the box. We can have as many entries into the box as we like, but we're not doing anything once we get there. And then even if we do have an opportunity to do something in the box, we'll probably pass it back, horseshoe it round and recycle it to the other side and do the same thing over and over again. So I just found a couple of the things. I think he was like desperately trying to scramble for a positive yesterday, which I don't blame him for doing. But some of the numbers and some of the things that he was pulling out, I just felt like were a bit of a reach, to be honest.
Yeah, I've just looked at what you said there. You said, I thought it was pretty close, and if anything, we probably edged it in terms of being the better team and having more play around their box, but it was pretty close. Goes on about having Sunland having individual quality, especially in the wide areas, and then he says, but we have a couple of instances of big chances, especially in the first half. Obviously, Tommy Conway's chance. I did forget Matt Clark's chance from a header from a corner, which he really should have done better from. But it's not the worst quote in the world. I think I've heard worse from Carrick. I think it was maybe after a game against Hull, potentially, last season. But yeah, I still don't agree with it. I don't think Boro were the better team. I think it's very much clutching at straws. Yes, we did have those big chances, but second half, you know, you got to view the game as two halves. First half, yes, we had those big chances. Second half, I can't remember much. There was a Hackney block shot in Morris going to the box well and then skewed horribly wide. I can't remember much else other than that. So that's, yeah, I don't agree with it. It feels clutching at straws to me. And yeah, I don't subscribe to the opinion that Boro were the better team.
Well, let's park Sunland for now and let's take a trip down question lane and go down to podcast questions. Yes, podcast questions. Every week you get the chance to ask us a question via email, borobreakdown@hotmail.com, on Twitter, Boro_breakdown, Facebook, all that kind of fun stuff, or even via our Telegram chat with over 400 Boro fans chatting anything but Boro. The first question is from Gareth, and he says, Boro missing Aaron Danks. Of course, Aaron Danks, Boro's assistant coach, went to Bayern Munich with Vincent Kompany, a move which, I mean, was a little bit surprising, but he did work with Vincent Kompany for some time before Boro. Guys, are Boro missing Aaron Danks? Do we think we are, or are we not? Does anyone want to take it?
I don't know, because we weren't privy to knowing what Aaron Danks did specifically. So I knew this would come up at some point about Aaron Danks because it's change, isn't it? And I think people sometimes query the change and whether it's had a positive or negative impact. But truly, I don't know. It'd be nice to know exactly what Aaron Danks did. So it would have been nice for us to have got him on the pod before he flew over to Germany. But no, I truly don't know the answer to that.
Makes a wicked pot of decaf, to be fair. Aaron Danks, and that's all what he does, to be honest. Matt, I don't know if you want to jump in at all on it.
Yeah, without knowing exactly what he did, it's hard to suggest or to say one way or the other. I mean, you could make the argument that we made an equally, if not worse, start to the season last year, albeit slightly different circumstances. And Aaron Danks was here. Don't know if that has any relevance. What I will say is he has gone to Bayern Munich and they've scored 20 goals in the last 3 and they put 9 past the side in the Champions League in midweek. So maybe we are missing Aaron Danks because Bayern Munich are absolutely flying. So who knows?
Who knows? I mean, look, Aaron Danks is a great coach, well regarded in the game. You're going to probably miss some aspects of it. And, you know, we have brought in Carrick's brother. Is that a red flag? I don't know. Because we don't really see the training day to day. So that could be a question you could ask openly in Darlington somewhere. Maybe someone from Herworth might spawn and tell you the real answer. Who knows? But the next question is from Liv. Matt's Liv. Happy days. So, Matt, I won't give you this question deliberately because Liv could open this door and ask you that exact same question, which says, do you think Azaz, Jones and Laff need to be dropped each game they're doing? and they're all very frustrating. I did miss out a big S-bomb there by Liv because she was very frustrated, and she is frustrated in some games. So hi, Liv, mate, I know you're watching. Answer is, I would say that I think Jones needs to be not removed, adjusted.
Removed.
Just Jones, go away. I would definitely say that Ben Doak needs to come in. I think he's been a great bit of business, and he looks really fun to watch. And I remember a time where Isaiah Jones used to take on a man and get the ball in the box, but he doesn't do that anymore. Maybe it's the thing where he's been overly coached a little bit, or he hasn't got that clarity of what he wants to do anymore. But give Jones the freedom to do it because he was quite good at it the time. But Ben Doak for me looks fantastic, so I think we definitely bring him in. I do think Micah Hamilton was better. He's getting more minutes. I could see glimpses of him where he was wanting to drive forwards, but I just think there's a long more. I just think it's too early to say anything, and I just need to see more of him, to be honest, to get an opinion. But was he going to get in over McGree? Probably not. I think Azaz is fine, and Lath is only as good as his players behind him. And if the players are behind him are given the opportunities in front of goal, then it is what it is, Don, isn't it? So, but if the one thing I would say on Lath, though, he has to be more clinical in those moments. If he is 1-on-1, he needs to put it away. And if he's not putting it away with Boro's current way of playing, you're going to get beat, aren't you? So, who knows? Every player should be replaceable. So, maybe the answer to your question, Liv, yes, they can all be dropped. Depends what you want to do. I don't know if you have anything, Dana, to add to that, or Matt, I don't know if you want to add anything to that either.
No, I was just going to say, Azaz and Lath, I'd keep in the team. Jones is an interesting one, isn't he? Because I think he just blows hot and cold. To be fair, all three of them blow hot and cold at the moment. It's not really steaming hot latte Lath, is it? He's cooled down a little bit. Maybe someone's put him in the fridge, but I wouldn't drop all of them. I think that would maybe be too reactionary. Ironic coming from me, but no, Jones in Doak, in for Jones, maybe one of those that Carrick might look at.
Yeah, they've put them inside of Edmondson, then that could have been the answer.
That's what I was thinking. Stuck Lath inside Edmondson.
Inside Edmondson.
Oh God,
that makes a lot of sense. Anyway, disgusting behaviour. Next question is from Jason, and he asks, can Conway play as an effective number 9 with Ryder McGree behind? Because I'm not and never been convinced by Lath. I think he'll be better as an impact sub. Matt, do you want to take this one? We have done a lowdown on Conway, and we've shown that he can play as a 9. So, anything else to add to that?
Yeah, so I'm just getting that image of Edmondson out of my head. Yeah, I personally think he can, but I wouldn't do that just yet. I'm still very intrigued to see, and I still think Conway could be a very, very effective 9.5, 10 Akpom role, whatever you want to call it. I wouldn't put Raleigh behind him. For me, if we want to talk about front fours, I still stand by pre-season. I really liked seeing McGree and Azaz together. I thought they had a really good partnership. They had good understanding of one another and where each other was. So I feel like you can still play McGree on the left with Azaz in there, or Conway. I wouldn't drop Lath as yet. I know he's going through a bit of a drought right now, but I wouldn't exactly say he's being given chance after chance after chance, game in, game out. You can say if he's not being given the opportunities, then you can't blame him, albeit he does have to be a little bit more clinical. So I agree with what you were saying about being wary of making wholesale changes, but I do feel like, bringing in McGree, Conway behind Lath, I'm still happy with that, even if it means we have to sacrifice Azaz.
Okay, then. Well, look, there is one thing I would say as a positive of the whole Sunderland thing before I come to the final question is that maybe the Mac might give us more chips and curry on the next match day to make us feel happier about ourselves. So
Please.
There you go. I liked how you tweeted the exact location yesterday, or was it the day before? I don't know, but it was.
Yes, Yes, if anyone's interested, people have been asking, Jonny. They want to know. So if anyone wants to know where the famous pod-approved Mac and Burger van is, then just look on my Twitter, and I've helped people out with that.
What a sad little life we have. Anyway, all for good food on match days. And the final question is: how long has Carrick got before we take a serious look? I'd give him until the next international break to turn this around. Is Michael Carrick under pressure, guys? Because personally, I don't think he is yet. Give him a bit longer. I was obviously give him a lot longer, I would say, but I mean, he has just signed like a 3-year deal, so you are going to have to pay him out quite a canny bit. But Dynamo, how long has Carrick got before we take a serious look?
I don't know. I feel like form would have to be absolutely disastrous. It would have to be like consecutive defeats in which the performances are also completely horrific. So basically, if we have like a duplicate of the Sunland game for the next like 5 matches, then potentially, because you know how football kind of goes nowadays, where chairmen are very well, they're not as patient, let's say, as maybe they used to be. So, and I mean, Steve Gibson is patient and he's very trusting, and I think he will continue to be that with Carrick. So, yeah, I don't think he's under pressure, but there's just a lot of frustrations. And what I will say is that it doesn't always fall on him. I mean, the good old cliches that the buck stops with a manager, and you will see that with managerial sackings. But yeah, the players need to take responsibility as well, because Carrick can't legislate for Tommy Conway missing the chance that he had yesterday. He can't legislate for Hayden Hackney having an absolute stinker. Like, these are the things that the players need to take responsibility for as well. So yeah, it's not panic stations at all. Yeah, it's just incredibly frustrating, and I really want to make that clear that like I'm not panicking, I'm just frustrated at Boro right now. So yeah, Carrick will be fine, I think. But if it gets to, like, if our form plunges down the toilet for a couple of weeks and performances are crap and results are too, then yeah, maybe pressure will build on him.
Well, I would normally go with the praise and place at this point, but I'm going to make a statement here because I don't think there's any praise to be given. So I'll go straight to Trivia Land. And one of my favourite parts of the show, of course, is the trivia. And so, guys, get your whiteboards, your phones, your notepads, however you are getting ready for trivia. Get ready, because I'm coming in with a hot question. It's about Robert Huth. And he did sign for Boro in 2006 and then signed for Stoke a couple of years later. But who paid more for Robert Huth, and how much did they pay? I'll let you only do it in euros because that was the number I had in front of me. And, exchange rates can change. So I'm going to go with the actual euro figure that I see on Transfermarkt, and I'm going to go with there. So the question is, again, just so you've got clarity, is Robert Huth signed for Boro in 2006 and then was signed for Stoke a few years later. But who paid more for his services and how much did they pay? The question starts and the timer starts now. Stop right there. Get your pens down. Stop it. I'm watching. Okay, so who wants to go first with their answer? Dan, I'll let you go first. Do you want to go first?
I'm scared. I've gone Boro paid more and €8.
Just €8.
That's a bargain.
8 million. Sorry, 8 million.
€8.
I heard 8 million.
€8 and keep the change for the 10.
There we go. There's the M now. It's there.
€8.
€8.
€8
And a
and
brain
keep the
fart.
change. And get a full English breakfast for that in Benidorm. Matt, what's gonna be your answer?
I went with Boro as well, and I went with €5 million. I don't know how much a Robert Huth would have been back in 2006, but
We signed him from Chelsea, right?
We
yeah.
did sign him from Chelsea. Yes, we did sign him. And you are both correct that Boro did pay more for Robert Huth. And Danny, you are closer because Boro paid £8.9 million for Robert Huth. Well, €8.9 million for Robert Huth. So Matt, you're very unlucky, but in terms of 5 million, Leicester paid 5 million for him. Actually, I got well wrong. It was actually 2006. So 2006 and then 2016, you got for Leicester for 5 million. God, I can't get my teeth in. Tell you what, I'm having an absolute Western super. Anyway, let's go for further now. And Matt, by the way, I do like how you've now incorporated Western super into your vocabulary. So congratulations to you. But let's look ahead to Stoke now. Danny, you're saying we need a third team to maybe get results. They are an absolute basket case at this point in time, and they've just recently changed the manager. So
congrats Stoke for their win.
So congratulations to Stoke for the win. I spoke to Ben as he was just about to jet off on a stag do to Copenhagen. So I hope you're having a lovely time, Ben. And he gave me some insight on Stoke this season.
Hey up, my name's Ben. I am from the soon-to-be-retired Stoke City podcast, the YYY Files. So I thought we started the season okay. I thought we ended last season very well. There was a bit of optimism going in after a good finish to the season and a very good transfer window. No mind-blowing transfers, but filling in positions where we needed to. Manager was showing a lot of promise. Jonny Walters seemed to be doing what he does. We beat Coventry. We beat yourselves 5-0, and we thought, you know what? We're onto something half decent here. And then we lose to Oxford, and Stephen Schumacher's sacked. I don't think anybody could believe it. I was thoroughly disappointed and angry with Stoke, to be honest. I was a bit embarrassed. We seem to be turning into like Watford at the moment. And we've taken a huge gamble by hiring Narciks Palak, who has no managerial experience basically whatsoever. Don't get me wrong, has worked under a few decent managers like Carlos Corberán, Marcelo Bielsa, Pep Guardiola, Neil Warnock, and he's highly regarded as an up-and-coming coach. But it's a huge risk considering Schumacher was doing okay. I don't know the exact reason why he was sacked, but anyway, he's gone and we've got to focus on the future. I didn't manage to watch much of the game against Hull on Friday night, but we take the lead and you think, okay, new start, new manager bounce. But the same old problems happen again. We conceded the sloppy first goal. It shouldn't have been a penalty, really. It wasn't offside. Their play was offside as the penalty was awarded, but we go and collapse after that. And that has been a theme for Stoke over the last 7 years. And that's a thing that Palak's going to have to sort. He's going to have to start changing the mentality of these players, because no manager, probably even Schumacher, has managed to do that. Once we concede one, we collapse. And I think we went on a run towards the end of the season of 9 wins in 12, and all of those had clean sheets. So we are a team that relies on keeping a clean sheet to win a game of football. And there's no wonder that we've been in the doldrums for years because of that. So players to watch out for from a Stoke point of view. Merely Manaf started the season quite well. I think he's got 5 goals for club and country this season, which is pretty good. Bejan Ho's not started the season very well despite ending last season pretty well. I'd like to say Tom Cannon, but he's not hit the ground running at all. Eric Bocat at left back, I really like. But with a change of manager, it's really hard to know who's going to be a key player in this team, and it's going to be against games like yourselves that we're going to be learning Stoke all over again. You could catch us cold here, and you could get your revenge. I mean, in terms of a score prediction, like I say, if you score a goal, then that could be it for us. And we've got a lot of work to do to keep ourselves in this league again this year. But, if we manage to ride out some pressure and nick a goal, then I think we could go on to win the game again. So, screw it. I might as well be optimistic. I'm going to go for 1-0 Stoke win. I hope Cannon gets his first goal. And I'll leave you with that. I appreciate that my thoughts probably weren't comprehensive of everything that's going on at Stoke at the moment. It's a very confusing time for us. And I personally am hugely worried about the decision-making at the top end of the club. And there's no consistency, no longevity, and I don't know how we're going to break this cycle with decision-making like this. But this might be the masterstroke we need. A lot of clubs are hiring young managers these days from out of nowhere, and they're doing really well, and we might just be the latest in that. Thanks very much for having me, and go on Stoke.
Oh, poor Ben. You know, every time I speak to him, I just feel like he just doesn't know what to say about Stoke. So much so, he said Eric Borkat plays at left cat, which is stunning. But thank you very much for that, Ben, as well. I do love YY Files. He's going to be retiring this season, which is a bit sad. But guys, open question really before we get into predictions. Is there any changes that Carrick should make before? Well, I mean, for the Stoke game, or would you like to keep things exactly the same?
Not exactly the same. I would bring in Randy McGree if he's ready to be brought in. I don't know why he didn't at least get a little cameo yesterday. I can only assume he's not 100% fit. But I'd put him in at left wing. Obviously, I'd move Azaz in the middle. I would drop Conway to the bench, mostly because I think Conway would be a really effective substitute. And then I'd bring Doak in for Jones. It's unfortunate on Conway because I do like him, but I would actually have him as an impact sub for now.
Okay then, and then Matt Hayden Hackney had a bit of a Western soup yesterday. Do you think he's done enough to retain his place in the team?
Yeah, I do. I'm not going to overreact about Hackney yet. I do feel like if the game is going a certain way, though, I can see maybe the introduction of Dan Barlaser could help at some point. But I'd still start with Hackney and Morris. The only change I would make is to the front four. I think the back seven picks itself still. Unless Rav's fit, you might bring him back in for Edmondson, maybe. It could be an okay game to do that if he is back. My front four, I would start McGree. If he's fit, he's got to start. I mean, you see some teams who, when they have a player, they just bring him back in. They're just like, right, he's fit, bring him straight back. It feels like we go through like a 25-step process that takes about 3 months before a player goes from being back in training to actually then back on the pitch again. So
and then they get injured again.
Yeah, and then they get injured. God, please just start McGree if he's fit, because the system doesn't work without him. I would start Conway in behind Lath. That's my only difference to Dana. Because I just feel like we've got a better chance of finishing a chance with him. I know he missed yesterday, but yeah, we saw the week before we put away a good 1v1, so I'd keep him in there, and I would start Ben Doak. I wasn't wanting to chuck him straight in. I wanted him to warrant his place ahead of Jones, and I think we've seen enough now to give him a start and a run to see what he can do from the start.
Yeah, I think for me as well, I would probably make one or two changes. And to be fair, I thought Hayden Hackney yesterday, he looked so out of place. It was like he was pretending to like play the keyboard in a reggae band. Like he just looked so out of place. I just don't get him. Like, yes, he ruined everything. So maybe he does deserve a place on the bench. You could bring Dan Barlaser in, or maybe a Howson, but who knows? But yeah, maybe like one more game to see if he can put it right. But yeah, he was garbage yesterday. Sorry about that, Hayden. But the last question before going to predictions is: does this feel like a big game now? And obviously, you don't want the rot to set in, as the old pundits say, and you don't get a couple of results that you want, and then you're instantly out of form, and everything's all dejected, and the worst thing can happen. But is it a big game for Boro now, especially after a final defeat against these guys earlier in the season, right?
Yeah, I think that, and also given that it comes straight after the Weirties derby, and it doesn't matter what Sunderland fans think about the game, Boro fans hold it in pretty high importance. So I think the response to that is going to be really important, and I think people are going to be looking at this game with raised eyebrows just to see how Carrick can respond to not only the defeat, but the manner of which we lost, the performance that saw the consequence of a defeat. And I think because of that, it is a pretty big game. Yeah.
Matt, big game. Yeah,
I think so. I think it's a big game. I think it's more it's a big game for the players, obviously, but I think it's a big game for us fans as well. I mean, I'm not really looking at the league table too much. I know we're only 3 points off the top 6. It's still early days. I just want to see us try and hover as close to 2 points a game as we can, and we're sort of slipping away from that right now. But for the fans, I think it is massive because it's a home game, and the home form's been incredibly disappointing so far, like last season. And this is a team, again, no disrespect to Stoke, like Pompey and Preston, it's a team we should be putting away. And I think having the just having the reassurance that Boro can put a team away at home, I think just relaxes the fans a little bit, because at least we then have confidence that we can put performances in at home. Away games are always tough in this league. So for me, because it's at home, in a game against a team that we should be beating, who are just an absolute basket case right now, I think it is a big game for us. But we have to get 3 points. We really do.
Well, what's your prediction, Matt? Because are you feeling confident? You're not feeling confident.
I was going to say I followed that up with we have to win, and I don't think we will. I not only does Stoke, and I've mentioned this before, they turn into 2002 Real Madrid when they come to Riverside. They always do, regardless of coach, manager, or personnel. I just don't see things changing. Like, why should I expect things to change when they're not changing at the minute? So Stoke will probably score a shit goal from absolutely nothing, and I think we'll knock down the door and get a goal back, or maybe it'll be the other way around. But I'm going to go 1-1. I'm setting myself up so if we do win, I'll be absolutely, obviously, massively surprised and over the moon.
Yeah, well, you put a bet on Matt and you'll be fine. And if put a bet on a draw or a defeat, and then if we win, you've got some satisfaction in your day. Dana, what's your prediction? What are you going to go for?
I'm going to go for the exact same 1-1. I think Conway will score for us, and I think for them, I tell you what, Kumas really impressed me in the cup game. I think he was very, very lively. But I think that Manhoff will score for them.
Very bold prediction of you. I'm going to say we'll win. I think I just want us to score, whether it goes off someone's ass or not. I don't care. Just as long as we score from open play, I'm happy with it. But I think we'll win 2-0. There you go. And we'll get our redemption arc for the defeat earlier in the season. But guys, thank you very much for joining me as always. And to listeners and the viewers, thank you very much for watching and listening to us. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to give us a 5-star rating on your podcast provider. And don't forget to follow us as well. Help us grow even bigger. But right now, I normally do an outro. But since we're so predictive, I'll let you think of what I'm going to say. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do something unpredictable. I'm going to start singing Dancing Queen by ABBA. This has been the Boro Breakdown podcast. And that was my Boro Match Day Chatter in a pod. You can dance, you can jive.